Hey, boys and girls. So, to wrap up after your OT session, we're going to work today a little bit on the main idea. This is a second video that I've done on main idea. So, if you haven't watched the last one, go back to Friday's lesson and watch that one first, because that kind of builds up to get to where we are now. Okay. So, now we're only going to do a few of these because these can be tricky. So they take a lot of thinking, okay, a lot of thought process. I'm going to walk you through a couple of them to help you see what I do in my brain to help me know what the main idea or the overall connection between all the sentences is, okay? So we can see here there's a picture, and I see here that there's appears to be what? A storm of some kind, right? Let's listen. Last night it was thundering. Ross was scared to sleep. The thunder kept him awake all night. He tried to hide under a blanket. When the storm stopped, Ross finally fell asleep. Okay, listen again. I know they do have a spelling error in here, but that's okay. Last night it was thundering. Ross was scared to sleep. So ask yourself now, why was he scared to sleep? How does that sentence relate to the first one? The thunder kept him awake all night. What kept him awake? The thunder kept him awake. Okay, so I'm hearing a word a lot. Each sentence so far is relating to a certain word. Keep going here. He tried to hide under a blanket. Again, ask yourself why. Why was he hiding under a blanket? When the storm stopped, he finally fell asleep. Okay, so just thinking now, the main idea before I go through those options, try to think what that overall connection is. One of the answers says Ross could not sleep. Is that what this is all about? Is it all about Ross not being able to sleep? Think about it. The second part is Ross hid under the blanket. Is that little detail what it's all about? Ross was scared. Is that what it was all about? Or was there a loud storm? What's that main idea? What do you think? If you put them all together, you put everything together, everything related back to that storm. So the answer here would be a loud storm. Do you see how we came up with that? It's tricky sometimes. It can be very tricky. Because like Ross couldn't sleep, you might think, oh, that might be the answer. But no, Ross not sleeping is just a part of why couldn't he sleep. Okay, the overall theme, the overall idea there is the storm was keeping him awake. So the answer there would be the storm. Let's try this one now, okay? We're trying to think every sentence, how do they connect? How do they relate? Let's listen. Sally was a farmer. She loved working with the pigs. When Sally got to the farm, she gave the horse water. Then Sally fed the pigs. Last, Sally gathered the eggs from the chicken. So in each sentence, she's doing different things. Why is she doing different things? Because what? She is a what? Okay, that's going to help us. Thinking through it before you even looking at the questions is going to help you understand. So here's the answers. Sally gave the horse water. Well, that was just one thing that happened. That can't be the main idea. That can't be putting them all together. Sally loved pigs. Well, sure, she loved pigs, but again, that was just one sentence in that whole paragraph. Sally gathered eggs. Again, one thing that happened. Sally is a farmer. Ah, that is the main idea. Good job. Let's look at this one here. Okay. You look at the picture first. The picture always helps you understand a little bit deeper. Astronauts fly space shuttles to the moon. In space, they can see planets, stars, and the moon. Some people believe astronauts may see aliens and UFOs. When astronauts are in space, they float because there is no gravity. All right, we're going to go through it and try to connect them now before we read our answers. Astronauts, okay? So we're talking about astronauts. They fly space shuttles to the moon, okay? Astronauts do that. In space, they see planets, stars, and the moon, okay? So we're talking about space and astronauts here. Some people believe astronauts will see aliens and UFOs. Again, we're talking about astronauts and we're talking about things that happen in space. When astronauts are in space, they float because there's no gravity. As I go through this paragraph, I'm hearing astronauts in space an awful lot. Does that make sense to you? Let's go through our answers here. Oh, look at that. One of them says astronauts in space. I wonder if that's the answer. Let's go through all of them. Always go through all your answers first. The second one says aliens and UFOs. Well, that was just one sentence. That can't be the main idea. No gravity in space is not even a full sentence. It was just part of a sentence. There are planets, stars, and moon in space. Sure are, but that's not talking about some of the other things they said. So, astronauts in space would be that main idea. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording here. If this was difficult for you, I want you to go back and re-listen to this. Okay, listen to how I processed it. That means, how did I think in my brain? How did I stop and say? How are each sentences connected? Okay, that's very important. So this lesson is extremely important. If it was confusing, please go back and listen to it again. All right, everyone, have fun with the rest of your day learning.